Okay, welcome everyone. This is Grandma Mo, and I'm going to be covering a few college games, probably more so now as the season starts to get going, because the early season games. I mean, there have been. I watched the UCLA. Who did they play? I don't know, but it was like 116 to 28 or something like that. It was just. I mean, I was feeling bad for the other team. I mean, I'm going to briefly go over that. But there was a game I saw last night, and this team caught my eye because they weren't good at all last year. And this year, whoa, I have been very impressed. They are not a ranked team at this point in time, but I am talking about the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford's women's basketball has just done a 180. They are right now 10-2. And I first caught a glimpse. I watched the Tennessee game, and they lost to Tennessee. Tennessee at the time was ranked 11th. I don't know what Tennessee. I'll have to look and see what Tennessee is ranked right now. But they lost to Tennessee by 2. They made 30, count them 30 turnovers. All they had to do was take care of the ball a little better, and they would have beat Tennessee. Stanford has a very young team, and they're tall, and they are fast. I have been so impressed with Stanford. I watched them beat Cal, and then yesterday they beat Washington, who was ranked 22nd. So I don't see how Stanford will not be in the top 25 after this weekend. They have been playing great. This game, they only had 10 turnovers. They might have had one in the very end of the game, but, I wanted to cover it was an exciting game. Washington was the head most of the game, and then Stanford just slowly kept at it. And, they have some pretty impressive players that are freshmen and sophomores. And, I'm going to get into that a little bit. But Stanford ended up winning the game 67-62 over the 9-2, 22nd ranked Washington Huskies. And, just looking at Washington, I noticed Howell, who had played on USC last year, because of all the shuffling with the Pac-12 and everything disappearing, that's another story. They're now part of the ACC, which is Atlantic Coast Conference. Stanford's in California, and Washington is in Washington. I don't know what sense that makes. Anyway, beyond that, it doesn't make any sense, but we're going to go forward. Okay, so breakdown by quarters. You had Washington up 16-13 at the end of one, and then Stanford outscored them 14-11 in the second, and I'm pretty sure they were tied. Yeah, they were tied 27-27. Is that right? Yeah, 27-27, which is really low scoring for the first half. But they definitely picked it up in the third and fourth quarter. So Washington took a lead in the third, and they outscored them 23-15. So they had a 8-point lead at the end of it going into the fourth quarter, and Stanford they pulled it together in the fourth and outscored them 25-12 to get the 67-62 win. So looking at, you had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Washington had 5 players in double figures. Washington played well. The turnovers were even. I don't have that in front of me, but I know what they were saying on the broadcast. They were both had about 10 turnovers. So it was a very well-played game. It was very fast. The shooting percentages were really good for both teams. Just really well-played, hard-fought game. You had leading scorers were Sellers. She's a good guard for Washington. I was impressed with her. And then you had Howell, who played with USC last year, like I said. They both had 13 points, and then you had Hannah Steins with 12, and then Ladine and McGautney I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but she's a freshman. She's a they were singing her praises on the broadcast last night, and she played well. She's a freshman. So moving over to Stanford, they have, let's see, one, two, three, four. Stanford had 4 players in double figures. You know, it looks pretty similar, but freshman Laura Sumfy, she's 6'5". They were saying on the broadcast that she turned down UConn and came to Stanford. You know, good thing for Stanford is a, top of the line school. If you're thinking about your education at all, I would much rather have a degree from Stanford than UConn. Nothing against UConn, but Stanford is, Stanford. So, and I grew up in Connecticut. It's not a shade on that. It's just Stanford's a very prestigious university. But very cool. Kate Pay did a great job recruiting. Some of these young players are really good. And Sumfy is 6'5", and she was fast and agile. I was very impressed with what I saw from her. And then you had the other players that impressed me was Ogden. She had 12 points. Very nice player. You had Lapalo, who's their guard. She's a senior. She's one of the few seniors on this team. Very steady, handled the flow of the game really well, kept everything under control. And then you had Haley Swain, very nice player. She had 13 points. Let's see. Where's the... I can't pronounce her name. Jawoji or something. I think that's the person I'm thinking of, because she definitely scored. And anyway, she's 5'6", and she's like a scat bug on the lake. Really fast player. She is zipping around the court. She comes in as a spark off the bench. She scored 4 points, but she had a couple of steals. Just terrific. And then the other player that they have is Clardy. Very nice player. Very solid. Very quick. 11 points from her. So, I just wanted to cover this game because this was one of the few games. There was a couple. Let's see. Stanford against Tennessee. That was an exciting game, too. Stanford's been having some of these exciting games. We'll see how they do. Let me see if I can look up their schedule. Okay, here's their schedule. So, Stanford recently they beat UNCG, I don't even know what that is, 87-42. Then they beat Cal 78-69. Cal's a decent team. And they beat Washington last night. And then tomorrow, they're going to be playing Oregon. So that'll be interesting to see how they do against Oregon. UCLA beat Oregon pretty bad. They beat them pretty handily. And then they're going to have Cornell and then NC State in their future. Then North Carolina, Wake Forest, Duke. Oh, I don't think Duke is going to be able to handle Stanford. The height alone is going to give Duke fits. But that'll be interesting. Let's see if they're playing anybody in the top 25. Play Virginia, Florida State, Notre Dame. They're going to be playing Notre Dame. Notre Dame's ranked 20th. North Carolina's 16. So they don't have... And then Louisville. Oh, they're going to be playing Louisville. Louisville's been playing well. I've caught a little bit of them. They're 16th. So they do have some top 25 teams they're going to be coming up against. So it'll be interesting to see how Stanford does. I'm going to be rooting for them. I've been a Stanford fan all the way back to when Jennifer Azzi was playing. I used to go down to Maples Pavilion and watch Stanford play. They were really exciting to watch. Great teams in the 90s then. So Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm going to be covering some UCLA, some UConn. There's some games there, and a couple of others, but mainly those are the couple of teams I'm going to focus on because there's just too many college teams to, you know, cover every single one of them. But UConn does. I grew up in Connecticut, so UConn's a number one team. I want to cover them, and I have a fondness for UCLA. So I'm going to do a video on them next. But so far, very impressed with Stanford. Very, very nice. So we'll see how they progress during the season. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.